Hey, aloha everyone. Happy Aloha Friday. It is June 5th, 2020. For those of you who haven't been able to keep track of time because of how long quarantine has been, I am your host, Dylan Chase Lee, and thank you for being with us for 11 weeks. This is our 11th installment of Manoa Valley Theater Live. We have an excellent show for us today, but as always, we must bring out our main man, as is tradition, Kip Wilborn, our executive director. Kip.
Hey, how's it, Dylan?
I'm doing good.
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 How are things? Have you been in the shop today?
I haven't been in the shop today, no, but I can tell you for a fact that the shop is looking great.
Oh.
We've been getting rid of a lot of stuff. It looks way cleaner. So for those of you who want to come and audition for a show at Manoa Valley Theater, do not worry. The hallways are clear.
That's
and the fire department will be very happy.
Yes, they will. We're going to invite them over soon, for sure.
Yeah.
Everything's going great. We are opening up, as you can tell. The mayor announced today, or actually the governor gave the approval, that on the 19th, they're going to open theaters. However, I don't think that applies to us. I think that's movie theaters. But nonetheless, it's a step in the right direction.
Yes.
On the other hand, we had 5 new cases today.
Ooh.
So, yeah, it was 9 total. There were 4 old cases that they categorized. So,
Okay.
So we're not out of the woods, folks. So keep your social distancing. Keep wearing your mask, as much annoyance as it is. Keep doing it, because the sooner we get past this, the sooner the theater can open up again. We can be together and doing shows and that kind of thing. So please give us your support, and support us also financially. I have to say that, I know you're sick of hearing it, but you know what, folks? It's like no income for all this time, and we depend on you. And it's because of your generosity that we will be back, and we'll be doing great theater again. That's right. So check it out. Donate 808-988-6131 or go to ManoaValleyTheater.com. All right. And as you can see, I got a haircut.
Yeah.
My barber. It was awesome. My goodness. I didn't know that I'd miss them that much. Yeah, definitely.
But hey, from my understanding, we have a short little segment today called My 2 Cents. So should I leave it to you?
Sure, absolutely. We have a lot of fun at the theater, but there's also a lot of really serious things going on in the world right now. I know that we've been stressed. In 2020, I lost my page there. Sorry about that, folks. Hang on. All right. I hope you can see me in here, because I just lost it. In 2020, the great fabric of our society is severely tested by the COVID-19 pandemic and its path of fear, pain, disruption, and loss. All of our lives have been touched in some way, but over the past few days, that fabric has been stretched even tighter as our country has become face to face with an all too familiar malady, the racism that threatens to tear us apart. Like all of you, I've been horrified, furious anguish over the violent deaths of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Wayne Dade, and far too many Black Americans. Devastating racism and inequity are all too prevalent across our country. As a theater, we have not shied away from plays that sought to make visible, through the voices of the artists and the art we present, the injustice and violence aimed at people of color in our country. Over the years, we've gone out of our way to produce plays that provoke thought and encourage dialogue. Plays such as To Kill a Mockingbird and 2 productions, with Colored Girls, Lion West, and most recently, Allegiance and Shipment Day, to name a few. We understand the responsibility that we have as artists, and we stand with Black artists and communities across the country who are suffering, and with everyone who is working to make the future more just. This is a great illness in our country, and there is no easy cure. We all share the responsibility to work for racial and social justice, keep the conversation and dialogue going, and to look for the good in this world and in our fellow human beings. In an effort to stimulate that dialogue, we're planning on a forum on race and police relations here at MVT. And as soon as we have more details and it's confirmed about that, we'll get that out to you. And we hope that you'll join us. We believe in the power of artists and art to shape lives and communities, and in an inclusive idea of America. I'm committed to our ongoing work which we will conduct with our hearts, humanity, empathy, and with the courage to do the things that we think are right. And finally, I challenge each of you to celebrate what's right with the world. My staff hears me say that all the time. We must do that, even as we work to cure what is wrong. That's my 2 cents.
Good. All right. So thank you, Kip, for your 2 cents. However, unfortunately, about when you started, as soon as I left, your audio started to cut in and out. So unfortunately, a lot of people didn't really hear that first part. All right.
I will put in 4 cents at the end of the show. All right.
Yes, we will pick that up at the end of the show. I'm so sorry about that, Kip.
Things happen, as we all know.
Technology. Am I right?
That's a virus.
Yeah, it is a virus. All right. So, do you have anything else for us, Kip?
No, we've got some great guests today. Some really fantastic people, and I'll let you give their introduction, but we're really looking forward to having them on the show today.
All right. All right. I will see you later, Kip, for your 4 cents. But right now, let's get into our first guest, okay?
All right.
All right. So, our first guest is a Hawaii-born professional singer and actress who has entertained thousands at sea as a principal vocalist with the Princess Cruises, working closely with industry greats such as John Tartaglia, Alan Rich, and Stephen Schwartz. She has also appeared in From Here to Eternity at the Algonquin Playhouse, working with Sir Tim Rice, the show's lyricist and co-creator. She's been an active supporter and member of Hawaii Theater, appearing in dozens of productions island-wide, including lead starring roles in Mary Poppins, The King and I, Les Miserables, Chicago, and My Fair Lady, just to name a few. Please help me welcome to our StreamYard stream today, Tricia Marciel. Tricia.
Hi, Dylan. Aloha, everybody.
Aloha, aloha. How are you coping with quarantine and the such?
Oh, wow. Yeah, well, you gave me a reason to put makeup on today. I haven't done that in a while. So I had to kind of remember how to do that. No, but I mean, in all seriousness, I'm actually not in Hawaii at the moment. Oh. I'm in Tigard, Oregon, which is just outside of Portland. And I landed here because well, I took a break from cruise contract work, and I decided that I was going to go audition in New York during the winter season for all the spring and the fall shows. This is the time of year that they do their seasonal auditions. And and then New York, the pandemic happened, and just like so many of us, it affected me in that way. And I stayed up there for another month, because I think we all just didn't know day by day what was going to happen. Things were changing. Yeah. Information was different every day. And so I was a little bit hopeful that maybe I could just stick it out. And then it didn't make sense for right now. So, but rather than come home, and I know I wanted to do, I wanted to be cognizant of our kupuna at home, and everybody, just my home. My dad is 83, and I usually stay with him when I am home. So luckily, while I was making that decision, a girlfriend reached out, and she very, very graciously invited me to camp out here. So that's what I've been doing for about a little over a month now.
And that's good. I mean, it's awesome that you were able to, you were cognizant enough and you were responsible enough to understand that back home we have kupuna who are a little bit more susceptible to these viruses and diseases, and you are able to meet up with a friend in Oregon, and it's a whole thing, right?
Completely. Yeah. So she's been wonderful. She's been she works from home, and I hang out, and I've been working on just spending a lot of time for myself, writing. I actually getting into like voiceover work. And which I think a lot of artists are doing right now, right? Everyone's being so creative around this, right? And you know, I've been working with a group that's based out of Jersey that do multicultural podcasts, and that's one of my first big things that I've been doing, which is really fun and exciting, and I'm learning a lot about that.
So have these podcasts been coming out regularly? Is there a way for us, you know, back home or elsewhere to catch these podcasts?
Yeah, it hasn't premiered yet. We're still kind of in post. But when I do that, I will absolutely put it up on my, you know, I'll get the message out to everybody. Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. Sounds good.
Yeah, thanks.
So Tricia, just to back up a little bit. So you were born and raised in Hawaii. Where did you grow up? What school did you go to? You know, the common questions that Hawaii
Of
folks
course.
ask.
Right. What year you grad? What school you went? No, I won't tell you the year I grad. But I'm born and raised in Hawaii. I am a Kailua girl. My family has been in Kailua for many generations.
Nice.
And I went to Kalaheo High School.
Ooh, the Mustangs.
The Mustangs. And and then I went to the University of Hawaii at Manoa. So go Bows. Yeah.
Hey, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
So while you're at the University of Hawaii, did you major in theater or musical theater?
I did not. My love of theater kind of sort of happened in a couple of ways. When I was a little girl, my parents and I would watch a lot of old MGM movies.
Nice.
And anytime musicals came on, the really, you know, like these Sound of Music and Singing in the Rain and West Side Story, I was enthralled with it. And then when I was a little girl, growing up in the Windward Side, in grade school, we would take field trips annually in the spring to go see productions at Castle Performing Arts Center. Ooh. And Mr. Ron Bright was directing those shows. And I just knew that I wanted to do that. I wanted to do what those kids that were a little older than I were doing. And the first chance that I got, I was going to do that in high school. And that's kind of where my love came from. But I took some theater classes at UH, but I actually graduated with a degree in communications.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
It doesn't hurt.
So that's awesome. So you said after seeing those performances that Ron Bright had put up at Castle Performing Arts Center, what was your first role?
The first full production that I did, musical production, and it was with Mr. Bright, was Fiddler on the Roof. Ooh. And I was in the ensemble of the show. And, you know, to this day, it's funny because I think this is probably true for a lot of kids who grew up in theater. I think your first big show that you do, you remember from start to finish everything about it, including all the lyrics and all the dialogue. Yeah. And I do. And I feel like it was such a special show to get to do. Fiddler on the Roof is not a flashy, dancey production, but it has a lot of heart and it's really meaningful. And I'm really grateful that that was the first one that I did and that it was with Mr. Bright.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because I know a lot of people who have been impacted by Mr. Bright, and it's great to see that his legacy carries on, you know, for many people within the theater world. I agree. Yeah. So going back to your bio, you were the lead vocalist on Princess Cruises. Did you get that job right away after you graduated from college, or no?
No, no, I am. Yeah. So when I was in college, I was working about 4 different part-time jobs to pay for school. And so I wasn't really doing theater actively, but after that, I went to work full-time, and I decided I really want to be back in this. And so I just would do it like everyone else does in Hawaii, which is you work or you go to school and then you go to rehearsal and you're in a show. And so that's what I did for a very long, long time. The audition came about. I'd worked for a healthcare organization in their communication department, and I was there for about 10 years. And during that time, like towards the end of that time there, my mom passed away. And I think with a lot of folks, I think I can speak pretty freely that when you lose a parent, a lot of priorities change in your life, and you do have that epiphany that life is very short. And so I decided that I wanted to make a move and audition for something. I wanted to try this. And I was very lucky. A very good friend of mine saw the audition for Princess, because they came to Hawaii to audition. And she pointed me and she was like, you need to do this. And in fact, she choreographs a lot of shows at Manoa Valley Theater. Her name's Catherine Jones, and she is a goddess. Yeah. And she said, you need to do this. And I did. And then, you know, I got a call back that afternoon, but then I didn't hear anything for about a month. And I went, oh, well, that's okay. Because I felt like I had a really good audition. It felt good. And then a month later, I got a call to submit some more material, which I did. And then I was cast as and I did that for the last 4 years, traveling the world, which was incredible.
So it's traveling the world. And so did you start off when you were cast with Princess Cruises? Did you start off immediately as lead vocalist, or did you have to work your way up, or?
Yeah, no. So what happens is, and it's different for different cruise lines, but with Princess Cruises, they cast vocalists and dancers, and sometimes different cruise lines will do, you know, you have to kind of do both. But there's usually four principal vocalists. So I was one of them. And depending, some of the smaller ships will maybe have a smaller cast and have two. So it'll just have one guy, one girl. But you know, yeah, I was immediately part of a quartet of 4 principal vocalists for the cruise line. And actually, when I was hired, what they were looking for was replacement performers for one of their shows called Magic to Do, which, if you're familiar with Stephen Schwartz and his work, was a show that they worked with him closely to write and produce. He entered a partnership with the cruise line to produce 4 shows over a 5-year period. And the first one was Magic to Do. And I was hired as the replacement cast for the original cast that did that show.
Nice.
Yeah, it was very exciting. Very exciting.
So speaking of vocals and you being a principal vocalist, I understand that you have a song for us today.
I do. And, you know, I know everyone didn't quite hear what Kip was saying, but a lot of it was kind of what I'm feeling right now, and which is that there are a lot of folks hurting, and the effects. My heart is just kind of splintered in a lot of different directions. There are my loved ones that work in healthcare, my loved ones that worked on cruise ships and had a difficult time getting home. All the folks that are struggling financially and trying to teach kids, and the kids that have lost out on a lot of stuff this year. And of course artists who are out of work. And lastly, our African-American brothers and sisters who have suffered indignities and atrocities for far too long. So this was the only thing that felt right to sing. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm sure it's a kind of a well-known song by Andra Day. It's called Rise Up. Nice. And I'm going to unplug for a second. And hopefully a YouTube ad doesn't pop up.
Hopefully.
Here we go. Okay. All right.
Take it away.
All right,
I am Tricia. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
And it was very topical to what is going on in the world right now with you know, everything, coronavirus, the protests that have been going on for equality and civil rights, and yes, truly beautiful.
Thank you, Dylan. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. So, Tricia, thank you for being on the show with us today. Thank you for singing us a beautiful song. And we will see you soon at the end of the show to help close it down, okay?
Absolutely. Much love to everyone. Aloha back home. Love you all.
Aloha. All right, our next guest is a multiple award-winning actor, director, nightclub vocalist, and recording artist with appearances in theaters, clubs, and concert halls from Honolulu to London. He has had numerous leading New York and regional theater roles, many film and television appearances and voiceovers, an acclaimed solo album, and over 24 original and studio cast recordings to his credit. Since his return to Hawaii, this person has been honored with Ho'okela Awards for his direction of Sheer Madness at Manoa Valley Theater and 1776 at Paliku Theater, and for his performance as Ebenezer Scrooge in A Christmas Carol the Musical at Diamond Head Theater. Please help me welcome to the stream today, Miles Phillips. Miles.
Hey, Dylan. Nice to see you, man. I haven't seen you. Well, I watch you on the show, but I haven't seen you in person since text for Desperate Measures. So crazy.
Yeah. So, how have you been handling quarantine? Staying indoors?
Staying indoors. I think old Boy Scouts. Our habits never die. So I've been very good. I go out once every week or two for my supplies, and that's it. And it's a good thing that I grew up in the 80s and 90s. I have a whole bunch of bandanas in every color of the rainbow. So I've got lots of facial coverings. I didn't have to like get anything made or buy anything fancy. It's just that and a couple of rubber bands and I'm ready to go.
That's perfect.
Yeah. And yeah. So I'm a fashionable stay-at-home, hermit, but I'm kind of naturally I'm what they call socially antisocial or extroverted introvert. So I'm really this has given me a chance to get my DVR cash down below 90% and catch up on a lot of TV and movies. This year I was on the nominating committee for SAG Awards for TV, so I saw a lot of TV already. So this gave me a chance to like dig into stuff that I had not ever seen. So that's fun. I'm enjoying that. And reading, and I've gotten crafty. I've started like doing stuff around the house, and right now I'm doing like lacquer pour with acrylic paints, and making ceramic tiles and things for the kitchen, and coasters and trivets and things like that.
Nice.
So yeah.
So
and no, I can't.
Oh, I'm sorry, I cut you
They're
off.
all in the kitchen. I'm not going to get them. No, sorry. Yeah.
All right. So, Miles, were you born and raised in Hawaii, or?
No, I'm a California boy. But
California boy.
I am. I was born way up in Northern California in Trinity County in a little town called Weaverville, which is amazing. That's where for Lost Horizon fans, that's where the author originally checked in to a hotel there, was so inspired by the mountains scenes there, and wrote Lost Horizon. But then when I was around 7, we moved down to the Wine Valley. My whole family goes back about 6 generations in San Francisco and the Bay Area. So that's really home to me. And then I came here as an undergrad. I applied to UCLA, USC, UH, and Berkeley, which was like the family school. And I got accepted at Berkeley, but had to wait a semester because they were full. And the next school I heard from was UH. So I said, yeah, I'll go to med school in Hawaii. So that's what I did. And
med school.
I was pre-med, but I moved here and then fell in love like the week before I moved here. Yeah. So I stayed here for a semester, and then I ended up going back to the mainland. And by the time I got through undergrad, I didn't change my major. The whole time I was doing teaching principles of biology for, student teaching for undergrads, as well as doing shows. And it wasn't until my last semester I had decided to audition for ACT in San Francisco and got in. I put all my eggs in one basket. I said, if I get in, then it's a sign that I should do this. And I got in, so I changed my major for my last semester, and therefore I have a Bachelor of Science in theater. And and then my MFA is in classical theater and Shakespeare. But yeah, nice. It was a weird angle to get here. But so I always said that I would come back to Hawaii when I was ready to watch the sunset in the Pacific every night. And I did that literally 5 years ago this past weekend. I just celebrated my Hawaii anniversary. So yeah. Oh. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. This is home, forever home.
That's good. That's good. So, Miles, you are also the director of Desperate Measures.
I am.
Which will now open in September 3rd. Tell us how you are preparing. Oh boy, I'm sorry. Tell us about how you prepare for directing a show.
Oh well, every show that I direct is different, and I came up as an actor. I started when my first show was when I was 9, and it wasn't until I got the master's and really focused that I started directing things as well. But when you're working in regional rep, you always get an opportunity to sometimes direct something, and or other times you're acting. So that's where I got my feet wet. And then in New York, I directed a lot, and especially a lot of nightclub acts and things like that. And I believe as a singing actor and as a Shakespearean, that it's all about the text.
Yes.
And so Desperate Measures was right up my alley. It's in verse. It's not really in an iambic pentameter, but it is in verse. Everything's in rhyming couplets. And it's incredibly well crafted. And so it's all about the text. So if you go in and do some good text analysis and really teach your cast, if they don't know already, how to go in and find operative words and things like that, it's like all the stuff just flies away, and it makes it very easy to focus on what's important and what the story is really about. And I'm very visual. And so, I've got very strong opinions about color palettes and what the world should look like, as you've experienced as I come in. Could we? And this particular show started at the York and then in New York and then moved off Broadway. And it's a very tight little sort of multi-purpose set. And we've expanded that world. It's also originally just a 6-person cast. And we brought in an ensemble. So we've got the opportunity to have not only people that are doing understudies for all the principals, but they're all in the show, and they have really cool tracks, and there's good stories going on. So the theater is really alive with really neat stuff going on all the time. So it's about building a world and creating, wherever you're looking, there's an interesting story going on, and it all serves the one story. So and it's got to be pretty. It's got to be pretty.
Yes, it definitely has to be pretty for you, Miles.
It does. I have notes.
You have notes?
No, it's perfect already. I can't wait to get back on that set. It's gorgeous. People, you need to come see the show because it is gorgeous. I'm so honored to have this incredible team that we've got designing and building and just bringing it to beautiful light and life. It's a great show, and the cast is amazing.
Yeah.
And
thank you, Miles, for being so flexible. We had to reschedule the shows many a times because of the whole quarantine thing, and But throughout the quarantine, I understand that you've gotten in touch with the cast.
We have,
and you might have a little treat
sometime. Yeah, coming up. We have been. Since we officially hit pause the night before our first preview, we've been staying in touch. The cast, we have line throughs via Zoom. We can't really sing on Zoom. There's just like sound sync issues. But we're running lines and having an excuse to have drunken game nights, on Zoom and things like that. So we're still in touch. But there's also fun little ways that we can create musically, and so we've been playing with that. And so we'll probably have something to debut on MVT Live soon. So keep an eye out for that. Yeah.
We'll get. All right. Well, thank you, Miles, for being on the show today.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry that you had to kind of rush through all of the questions for to keep within the time constraints. But I will leave you on with us right now while we bring back Tricia and Kip. Does that sound okay?
Sure, but I didn't feel rushed. I talk a mile a minute anyway, so we're fine.
All right. Please help me welcome back to the stream Tricia and Kip.
Hey, guys.
All right. Hey.
Sorry we had issues there.
No worries. And your audio sounds perfect right now.
That's great. That's good to hear.
Yeah. Kip, do you want to give us your 4 cents?
Some things are worth saying a second time. So let's try this again.
Yes.
In 2020, the very fabric of our society has been severely tested by the COVID-19 pandemic and its path of fear, pain, disruption, and loss. All of our lives have been touched in some way, but over the past few days, that fabric has been stretched even tighter as our country has come face to face with an all too familiar malady, the racism that threatens to tear us apart. Like all of you, I have been horrified, furious, and anguished over the violent deaths of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Tony McDade, and far too many Black Americans. Devastating racism and inequity are all too prevalent across our country. And as a theater, we have not shied away from plays that sought to make visible, through the voices of our artists and art we present, the injustice and violence aimed at people of color in our country. Over the years, we've gone out of our way to produce plays that provoke thought and encourage dialogue. Plays such as To Kill a Mockingbird, did that 2 times, For Colored Girls, Flying West, and most recently, Allegiance and Shipment Day, just to name a few. We understand the responsibility we have as artists, and we stand with Black artists and communities across the country who are suffering, and with everyone who is working to make a more just future. This is a grave illness in our country, and there is no easy cure. We all share the responsibility to work for racial and social justice, to keep the conversation and dialogue going, and to look for the good in this world and in our fellow human beings. In an effort to stimulate that dialogue, we're planning a forum on race and police relations here at MVT. And as those details firm up, we will let you know.
Yes.
We believe in the power of artists and art to shape lives and communities and in an inclusive idea of America. I'm committed to our ongoing work, which we will conduct with our hearts, humanity, empathy, and with the courage to do what we think is right. And finally, I challenge each of you to celebrate what's right with the world. My staff hears me say that so often. We have to do that even as we work to cure what's wrong. And that's my 2 cents.
Mahalo, Kip, for that. Right. Really into the pu'uvai, into the heart.
Yeah.
Hey.
All right, but let's celebrate what's right with the world. Theater's great. Theater's a forum for change.
Yes, it is. Yes. So on that note, for those of you who are going to the protests this weekend, please stay safe. Remember to wear your mask. There have been spikes in the cases because of the protests that have been going on. Also, keep a level-headed mind. Remember to keep it peaceful. And with that, aloha, everyone.
Aloha.
Uh-huh.
Aloha.